Micah Parsons is one of the best defensive players in the league. If you want to say he's a top 10, he's there. He's not a top 5 player. He's not anymore. He was going into last year. But the season, even though he missed 4 games, he wasn't as good as he was the first 2 seasons. And teams are starting to figure them out. They know that what they're doing is they're overloading offensive linemen and using extra offensive linemen to cover Micah Parsons when they shift Micah Parsons to the linebacker position or they move him from one side to the other. And Dan Quinn did a lot of that when he was there. Teams are figuring out. If you shut down Micah Parsons, you shut down the Cowboys defense. He is not TJ Watt. He's not Myles Garrett. He's not as big as those guys. That's a fact. Go look at the size. There's a big size difference. What does Micah Parsons play with talent is his speed and his heart. Micah Parsons got some heart. He goes out there on his podcast, throws people under the bus. He speaks about all these guys, and he throws Jerry Jones. How many times have we heard him on his podcast throw Jerry Jones under the bus? That's his owner. That's the guy that's paying this guy. But the fact is, Micah Parsons isn't wrong. They're going to be paying Micah Parsons more money now because he's sitting still and saying, you know what? You're waiting this long? Look what TJ Watt got. I want double that. Or he's not going to get double. I want $5 million more. I want $3 million more than a guy like TJ Watt. So TJ Watt's making $41.5 or $52 million a year. I want 45, and he's going to get it. And if they don't pay him, somebody else is going to give it to him. He's their second best player, and you're pissing him off. Now, he's going to probably say, you know what, if you don't give me the $45 million, I'm not re-signing with you. I'll go to free agency or move me. Trade me either where I want to go, or I'm not going to sign with them either, and I'm going to go to free agency anyways, because that's the way football is now. They don't have to sign nothing. They can wait until their contract's up, and they can. What is that? What do they could do in the offseason? They could give them the
franchise tag.
The franchise tag. Mm-hmm. They have to wait, and all the franchise tag is going to tell you is TJ Watt. If he has a good season and they franchise him, TJ Watt is making $42.5 million. If he has like 13, 16, or 17 sacks, he's just going to get a boatload of money anyway. And Dak Prescott said it best. One of the media guys asked him, what do you think about Micah Parsons and his contract? He says, pay the man. But Dak took the most money he possibly can. Are you going to blame Dak? I'm not blaming Dak. How many years does Dak have left to be at the top of his game? Who knows? Dak might have 5 or 6 more years left. But if he can get the most money he can out of Jerry Jones, he's going to do what he can to skim it off of him. That's the way sports is. The Cowboys right now are in a position where Jerry Jones is 80, 85, 86, however old he is. He's senile. He doesn't know his ass from his tailbone. I'm wondering if he can see his hand in front of his goddamn face. He's stupid. And this organization should have been taken over by his sons a long damn time ago. I remember when he wanted Johnny Manziel. And I like Johnny. But Johnny was a failure in the league because he couldn't stay away from his own stupidity. And he goes out there and throws people under the bus. Jerry Jones and the Cowboys organization hasn't won since, 1996? The Cowboys organization has thrown so much money at their superstar players. CeeDee Lamb took a little bit less money to stay with the Cowboys. Dak Prescott is making $60 million a year. That's the going rate for a quarterback. Dak Prescott is a good quarterback. Is he a Super Bowl contending quarterback? There's maybe 6 or 7 guys in the league that we could say that. He's still a quality quarterback. You're paying Jake Ferguson 4 years, $52 million. What has Jake Ferguson done? Is Jake Ferguson an elite tight end? The answer would be no. He's a decent player. I know Cowboy fans will sit here and say, well, he's put up good numbers. He's still a quality player. He's the second or third option over the last couple of years. They never had a second option since they decided to move away from Amari Cooper before they added George Pickens this offseason. They have never had a second option. They've reached every single player they've brought in. These subpar players at best, and they're once good players in the league. They go to the Cowboys, and they're absolute garbage. Their running game has been shit. Let's be honest. It's been garbage. They did add Blue in the draft. He looks like he's going to be a good player. They added Williams. They might have a good running game this year. Their offensive line is crap. They have 2 young guys they're banking on. I don't think their defense is any good. They got Micah Parsons. Their secondary, they got a big mouth out there who doesn't shut his damn mouth. who's getting overpaid, by the way. The Cowboys are in a division that is still a quality division. The Commanders are better this year. The Eagles are better than this year. The Giants might be better this year. What did the Cowboys add in the offseason besides George Pickens? Nothing. A lousy goose egg because they don't have any money. The Cowboys organization needs to figure out where and what this team is. And honestly, if you're going to depend on your quarterback, and I think Dak is a quality quarterback, he's not going to win games without talent around him. Now, George Pickens, he's a good addition. George Pickens is coming up on a contract. What are they going to do with that? If they pay Micah Parsons $45 million now, how are they going to pay George Pickens? They're going to pay Micah Parsons. George Pickens is going to have a great year this year, and he's going to go to free agency because they can't afford him. And he'll go out and put up these unbelievable numbers because Dak needed that second option, and now he has one, and he has a decent running game. And the Cowboys are going to sit there and say, well, we had a 10-win season or 11-win season, and we went to the playoffs, and we have Brian freaking Schottenheimer as our head coach. They should have kept their coach if they were thinking that this team was going to run it back again with the same talent that they had, except with George Pickens. It makes no sense. If you're a Cowboy fan right now, you're not going to tell me that having George Pickens is going to make that much of a big difference when you look at what Washington did in the offseason, which is absolute. They've gotten so much better. Now, we got to see what their young quarterback is going to do in his second year. It's his sophomore year. We've seen a lot of quarterbacks fall back a little bit in their second year. But again, C.J. Stroud wasn't the same player he was in his freshman year, but he was still decent. I worry if I was a Cowboy fan, when you have the Eagles, yes, the Georgia Eagles, because we know they're the Bulldog Eagles, they're better than they were. Look at their draft that they had. Look at the offseason that they had. Micah Parsons is absolutely right. If I was Micah Parsons right now, would I want to go back to the Cowboys? What I would do on my podcast, knowing that everybody is watching me, here's what I would do. I would go on my podcast and do whatever I can to piss off Jerry Jones so you can get me the hell out of that organization. Because they're not winning. They have not drafted another offensive weapon since CeeDee Lamb. Who was the last offensive weapon they brought to this team and this organization since then? Nothing. They got lucky with CeeDee Lamb because he went from a top 5 pick to 17. Honestly, the Cowboys might be the worst team in that NFC East. I mean, the Giants are still working their way up, and I don't know if Dable's the guy, and we all know what their GM is. I really don't think their GM's any good, and Shane. But I think they have something. Maybe they have a quarterback. Maybe he is. Maybe he turns out to be Jackson Dart's a decent player moving up as they did in the 20s in the first round. Right now, are you going to bet that right now the Cowboys are even a playoff contender? Washington is probably the second best team in the division, and we know the Eagles are the best team in the division. So where are the Cowboys? Are they a wild card team? Are they even going to squeeze in as a wild card team? When you look at all the divisions right now, especially the West got better. I mean, and we all know about the North. The North is going to have at least 3 teams make the playoffs. I still think, even with the quarterback switch and bringing in the young quarterback, Minnesota's going to be good. They have got great talent. They got one of the best wide receivers in all of football. Green Bay's going to be great this year. They got a tremendous amount of talent. And Chicago might be a contender this year, too. And we all know that Lions. Now, I think the Lions are going to take a step back this year. They are going to make the playoffs, but they lost a lot of coaches on that team. They lost like 7 coaches. 3 of them went with the Jets, and 3 or 4 of them went with the Chicago Bears. They might kind of take a step back this year. They'll squeak into the playoffs with the talent that they have. But, I mean, honestly, that might be the best division in football. The North divisions, from the NFC North and the AFC North, they're arguably the 2 best divisions in football. The Cowboys are right now sitting, and they're pissing off their best defensive player. And honestly, if I was Micah Parsons, I don't want to be there. I'm not winning anything there. The Cowboys haven't won since '96.